Okay, so the first example that I'll be working with you guys today will be about creating a mapping of XML to an object. So we will create a Java class, which will be created on the same structure as the XML document, students.xml. And then we will grab the data from the XML document and we will put it in the Java object. So that will be the example of XML to Java object mapping. That's what we call it. So XML to OOP mapping or XML to object mapping. It has several names for that. On the same concept, we have database to object mapping, exactly the same concept. So that will be our starting point for today. And then after doing a few examples in that direction, then we will move on to doing an example where Java will actually produce an XML document. So far, Java has been reading an XML document, but Java has not yet produced an XML document. So that will be the next thing we will be looking at. So to get started, just like every week, I will fire up my Eclipse. You can fire up your Eclipse. And we can then go from there. I'll share my screen. Can you imagine just 5 more weeks? That's about it. That's all it's left in this semester.
And a nice long break.
And then you have a nice long break of 5 weeks, right? Wow.
6 weeks, actually.
6 weeks. So
I didn't count, but no.
See,
It was,
Yeah,
with the new job, I just get to keep on doing IBM stuff. So it's
Hey,
almost like I
yeah.
don't get a break.
but now you're getting paid for it.
Yeah, that's true. Now I'm getting paid for it. That's accurate.
Congratulations, though, Josh.
Thank you.
Yeah. Which company is this for?
Logitech.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Cool.
like the keyboard peripherals, all that stuff.
No.
Different Logitech.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Logitech in front of me. Consult
Tech.
Oh,
My bad.
I was like, man, give me some coupons.
Nice, nice. So what technologies you'll be mainly working with?
Well, they're mainly an IBM
Uh-huh.
technology, but because they're out of Rochester, which is where the IBM's headquarters is.
Mhm.
But since they're a consulting firm, it kind of comes down to what the company that they're working for wants them to do. So they kind of like the fact that I know some C# and Java and HTML and stuff like that, because some of their even their one of their senior developers I interviewed with said he knows 0 HTML. So even the fact that I've taken, one class on it, I have a leg up on that.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Did you tell him that, 0 HTML is not like somebody says no SQL?
I didn't, but I should have.
If somebody says I know no SQL, that doesn't really mean that they don't know SQL.
Right.
No SQL.
See, that's where our class has been missing with you this semester, Saad. There's been no puns, no jokes. I haven't seen an F4 up on the screen yet.
Yeah, I stopped flying. F-16?
Yeah, F-16.
Yeah, stop flying.
No Barry Allen jokes.
No, no, so this is the XML document, student.xml, that I will copy from the previous folder and I will bring it to my new folder. I'll just simply right click and paste at the project level. So I'll have the student.xml right in the new project. So that's our step number 1. By the way, did you guys know about a Windows software application that comes with Windows 11 called Step Recorder?
Yeah, I just found out about it just the other day.
Yes, it
I
is.
watched a TikTok on it this morning.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
What is it? I haven't heard of this.
Okay, what it does it? Okay, let's say you fire it up. Can you see it on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so now if I hit start recorder, right? So I open, let's say, the browser, and then I close the browser, I close a tab, and I type here google.com and all of that stuff I did. And then after that, I hit stop record. It generates the snapshot with steps. That what did I do? Which one I clicked? What, I mean, like everything. It's steps.
With a description
Yes.
on each step.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
that
yes.
is awesome.
Yes, step, description, and pictures. That's awesome. It's called Steps Recorder.
That is cool.
It is. So nice to build tutorials. I'm kind of thinking, the only thing is that it captures all my screens. I only want to capture one window. So I wish if there is a step, there is some kind of a setting, but I wasn't able to find one that I could only capture one screen, or I would do it on my laptop. And then that way, I could just do it on my laptop.
Just unplug one of the HDMI cords and.
I have 4 monitors.
Oh, well, unplug 3 of them.
Yeah, Microsoft's really good at getting programs like 90% of the way to being like really useful. And just few quality of life things they don't add in there.
Anyway, so now let's get started with our very first class, which will be our mapping class of Java to XML. So I'll call the class students or student and no public static void main. Just hit finish. In this class, I want to map 3 properties. 2 children tag and 1 property. What is the property? ID. What are the children tags? First name and last name. Those are the 3 things I want to capture. So I will create private string ID, private string F name, private string L name. Then let me create an overloaded constructor.
What's the shortcut for making the property again?
You mean constructor?
Or I'm sorry, the constructor, yes.
You basically hit on the screen control and a space bar, and then then you double click on the constructor.
Thank you.
And I can now make a this call from the first constructor, the default one, to the other one. Jenna Carlson. Then I am generating the getters and setters by using the source menu generate getters and setters. Usually after teaching you guys how to manually code getters and setters, when I introduce how to auto-generate them, the reaction is priceless. What? You made us do all this work?
It's just so much code that it makes you type in when you can just click a couple buttons.
But you don't learn anything after that. That's
Oh,
basically.
I agree. I 100% agree.
I noticed that once I got excited, I had a bunch of high schoolers, brand new. I mean, like half of my class was 18-year-olds. So I got excited. I said, okay, let me introduce this in week 4. And what I realized in week 7, half of them can't even put together a getter. They just don't know. They just totally forgot the whole syntax of a getter. I said, oh my God, I should not have done that. Again, give me a green check when you guys are done creating the student.java class and have saved the changes. Okay, so Francisco and Jack Lear. Oh, Jack Lear also got it. Okay. Francisco is the only one coding right now. Okay. Oh, got it. Cool. Awesome. Next, I will create my class, which will be about creating my first mapping application. So we'll call this one DOM parser XML to Java object mapping. I'm just purposely giving a very long name so that, you know, just the name itself is quite descriptive. The DOM parser is the technology I'll be using, and I'll be using XML to Java object mapping. And this is number 1. I'll write more than one. The first one is where I will map to a single object. Then the second one, I will map to an array of objects because we have multiple records. That's why I will be creating 2 of those. Let me clear all the feedbacks. So I will be using a method display to which I will pass the student object after I store data in the student object, and then I will ask the student object to be displayed. So student ID. Will be stud.getID. So that will be the method that I will call once I populate the student object with everything I need to populate from the XML document. And that method will then display the data for me. So in the main method, I'm creating a try-catch block where I will instantiate my student object, which will be populated and will be sent to that method to be displayed. Okay. And let me write that code right here. After change, the object holds the following data. Oh, I don't know why I'm putting it outside the, it should be inside the try before the catch. Inside the try before the catch. So if you run this right now, you will just see the default values, which is 4533 Jenna Carlson. I purposely stored values which I did not put in the XML document because I have Sam Cox, Anna Montana, and Jerry Smith, which are different from Jenna Carlson. So the line 14 is where the logic will go that will actually make that change happen. So again, give me a green check when everybody is done coding this code, because I will be copy pasting some of the code from our previous week's examples so that we don't have to retype what we have already done once. Okay, Victor and Cole, still coding? Oh, Cole got it, okay. Okay. So now I am going to our last week DOM parser demo, and I'll be grabbing some of the code from there. So I will tell you which lines to copy. Okay, let's see. Starting from file, input file, all the way down to this line where you see, sorry, all the way down to string ID get attribute. So from file all the way down to string ID e.get attribute. And I'm in DOM parser demo.java class. So copy that.
Does everyone else have that DOM parser demo? Because mine's different.
Oh, that's the one
I
that we you sent us off to go ahead and get that done our own way.
Okay. You know,
Uh,
I think I found it in XQuery DOM parser demo.
Okay, this is the one where I gave you guys the code and then I asked you to do the column mapping.
Got it.
Yeah,
That's why it's got a different name.
yeah. So I'm coming back to this one and I'll be pasting this code here. And I'll be, first of all, adding the closing for the if condition and a closing for the loop before I make any other changes. So I copied file all the way through this point, and then I added closing curly braces for if and closing curly braces for. I commented out or removed the root element line, so we do not need that. We do not need the column heading lines, so I am removing any lines that we don't need. We do not need to grab score because we are not storing score in our object. So remove some of these lines. So this is what will be left behind that we will work with. Now we can either grab the values from the elements and put them inside strings, and then we can assign those strings to the setters. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be to directly do the assignment right here. Just say stud1 dot set f name and assign this whole thing right there and then, just like that. And this will be set L name. And this will be dot set ID. And when you run your program now, you should be able to see the very last record only.
you should be only able to see.
The very last record. Yep. Whichever is your very last record in your XML document.
Got it.
Okay. And the reason is very simple. The reason is that it starts writing the first record because we are in a loop. Where is that? Okay, we're in a loop. So it goes and grabs the first record and assigns that to all the properties of the student1 object, then goes and grabs the second record and overrides the previous data with the second record's data, then goes back and grabs the third record, overrides the second one with the third one. So since our display logic is outside the loop, therefore we only get to see the last one because the previous two are overwritten. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whenever you guys are done with this, give me a green check and make some changes to your code so that you can display all 3 records, even though you know that every record will be overwritten in the next cycle before you read it again. I'll be back in like 2-3 minutes.
Did anyone understand that properly?
Basic. Yeah, you
Go
just have to
ahead.
put the display in the loop, I think.
Looks like you're right. You're muted.
Jack, I copy pasted that in the chat. Well, everything that we did in the try and catch block. So what I asked you guys to do was to move this inside the for loop, and that will be the only way that you will be able to print it before you overwrite it. So if I can simply cut this out of here and push it inside the loop, then I can say employee data. Record number. Now I can print record 1, record 2, and record 3. Just a little change in the output, and we'll do the trick that before it overrides, it will display the output. So for those of you who still did not give me the green check, if you're done, give me the green check so that I know that you're done. Once I receive it from everybody, then we'll move on to the step 2 of this example.
Did you only change the system out print? Because I'm getting an error under the I +1.
Yeah, because I moved this inside the for loop, it was outside the for loop before.
Okay.
So I can, yeah, so I can print object before it's overwritten. I can print the object data before it's overwritten.
Got it now. Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, Jack, yours is terminating immediately. Do you have the student.xml file in the project and not in the SRC folder? Make sure it is not in the SRC folder. It has to be at the project level. As you can see on my screen, it's not very readable, but when I close the source, students.xml is outside the source. So that may be the reason that yours is terminating, because it can't find the XML document. So just going to the catch, and the catch has nothing in it, so it's just terminating. Okay, I'm waiting for Victor. I don't know if Victor, you're coding, you're done. Okay. Okay, so now we will take this example to the next level by saving it as, calling it mapping number 2 and renaming the class name to mapping 2. That's step number 1. The idea is that instead of creating one student object, I want to create a students array so I can hold all objects at the same time. So I will create a student array called studs, and the size of the array will be size 3 because I have 3 records to read. I know there will be some errors down below. Don't worry, we'll fix those when we go when we go down. Okay. On line number 22, what exactly have I done? Can somebody explain line 22 to me?
You made an array of students that's not initialized anything, but it can hold up to 3 students.
Okay, so if I say studs0.getID, will I get the default ID?
I don't think so. I think it's just full of null objects right now.
So how can I instantiate it then? So they're not instantiated, you're saying? They're null
Yeah.
pointers? Okay,
Yeah, they're no point.
very good. So when you declare an array of objects, by default, all objects are null pointers until you initialize them. So we need to run a loop over here to initialize the array objects. So studs dot length. I should be less than studs dot length I plus plus. And then inside that loop, I will instantiate each one of the array objects. So studs I equals to new student. So this is where I will instantiate each one of the array objects. The curly braces are not required because there is only one line in the loop. So lines 23 curly brace and lines 25 curly brace are optional. After that, you need to start making changes down below. I'll scroll down to this area. Okay, that's where the change needs to be made. Okay, so since I already have a loop going, I equals to 0, which is coinciding with the parallel array of studs, right? Because I have a parallel array of nodes and I have a parallel array of studs, and they're parallel because they have the same number of values. So all I need to do is this, just change the stud 1 to studs I. That's it. Okay. That's one thing I will do. Then I will get rid of the display logic from here. So my loop is simply to populate. Then I'll have my display loop outside of the first loop. And then I will pass one array element at a time to the display method for display purpose. And the output will be exactly the same as before. The only difference is that now I am holding the data. All the data is being held in memory at the same time versus one overriding the other. So this example pretty much shows us how you can map XML records to Java object array and deal with it. So you're bringing the data from a permanent storage to the temporary storage to do whatever processing you want to process. Okay, so Oscar and Victor are still working on this example. Let me know when you guys are done. Okay, Oscar is done. Okay. We'll wait for Victor to give us an okay. And okay. In our next example, we will create XML document using DOM. So we will write a Java program which will create a brand new XML document that doesn't exist right now. So that will be our approach. So that'll be our code, okay? So that's why I created this little bit of a long name for that purpose, okay? So we'll have our try catch block as before. And I will copy these 3 lines from our previous example. Look at the 3 lines: document, builder, factor, builder, and doc in the try block. The only difference is I'm building a brand new document. So instead of parsing an existing file, I will say dot new document. Next, we will start to build the elements. As you know, that in the XML document, there is a root element. Root element is the element in which all other elements reside. So we will create our root element. Root element, you can call it anything. I'm calling it root element because that's what this purpose will be. And this will be given to the doc directly as an element. And we'll call this one cars. And I got to make sure that when I'm organizing my import, I use the org.w3c.dom.element. Okay, everybody with me so far?
Yep.
Okay, so once I create this cars element, I now need to add it to the document. So document dot append child node root element. So basically, if I were to pictorially draw this for you, I would say that right now, at the end of line number 16, the XML document looks like this. Okay. So what you are doing on line 16 is you're saying, I want to add cars to the document. So right now it's a blank document. It's not in a physical file yet, but in memory, this is how it looks like. I have a start and the end, cars tag. Now we need to start building the rest of the structure within the root element. And that's what we'll be building next. Okay. So let me create another element called supercar equals to, using the document, I'm creating an element called supercars. Now I'm using the document object to create an element, but I will not be adding this element directly to the document because document can only have one root element. Rather, I will add this one to the root element dot append child supercar. Okay. So after line 19, the in-memory XML looks like this. Supercars. Supercars. Okay. So line number 18, supercars within the double quotes, that's the name of the tag. The supercar without an S, that's just an object name that we're using so that we can add that object to an existing object. Exactly the same way that root element is the object name and cars is the tag. So supercar is an object name, supercars is the actual tag. Is everybody following okay here? Now, let's give the supercar an attribute. So let's create an attribute. So we'll use the ATTR class. Attribute type equals to doc.create attribute. In fact, I'll just call this AT attribute. Okay. No, not the text node. I will create an attribute. And the name of the attribute is company. That's the attribute. Make sure you organize your import. So it will add the org.w3c.dom.attr. And then I will set the value for this one to, let's say, Ferrari. And the supercar object will get this as its attribute node. So after that instruction, it'll look like this: supercars, company equals to Ferrari. So line number 23 will make that happen, as you see on the right-hand side in my notepad. Now let me start adding some children for supercars.
Did you mean to do text node that time?
Yeah, I will explain what that does. So basically, what I did on line 25 is I created a tag called car name. Then line number 26 creates an attribute called type, which I am assigning to the car name on line number 28. And the text that is held inside the type is Formula 1. So that's what happens on line number 28, that when I'm assigning the ATT type to car name, the ATT type's value is Formula 1, okay? And I'm adding the car name to supercar. And when I say car name.append child, doc.create text node. So this is how you can add text to the HTML, to the XML tag. So that's what line number 29 does, adds the text to the tag. So once you create one structure, you can certainly copy it and paste it and create another structure. So I'm calling this one car name 2, which is another car name tag, right? So attribute 2. So attribute 2, car name 2. So I'm just adding 2s wherever it was nothing. And we'll be making some changes to the values. Instead of attribute saying Formula 1, it'll now say sports. And instead of Ferrari 101, it'll say Ferrari, we'll say Honda Civic, sports. So basically what I'm doing next is I'm creating another car name where the attribute Formula 1 will say sports, and this will say Honda Civic Sports. So did everybody understand what we did so far? So now the next step would be just to transform all of this stuff from the objects into an actual file. For that, we will take help from transformer factory object. So we first create an object of transformer factory type. And using the transformer factory type object, we create a transformer. And then we will create a DOM source object. To which we will assign our entire doc object, which holds the entire XML document. Because the doc is the one that holds the root element. The supercar is added to the root element, and all other tags are added to the supercar. So doc is the one that is holding everybody, including the root element. So we simply assign the doc to the DOM source. Next, once we create this basic setup, we create an object of stream result. And to the stream result object, we say that we will be creating a file by the name of cars.xml, and that's where everything will go. And how to make this happen? You will use your transformer object to transform everything from the DOM source to an XML stream result. So from source object, which is a DOM source object, to transform everything from here to the actual physical object. Let me know when you are done all the way through line 50. You need to simply run it by clicking the play button. Nothing will happen. You will see no output because we did not throw anything onto the output screen in the console. What you need to do next to make sure that the file was created is to right-click on your project and hit refresh. And you will now see cars.xml added to your project right above the students.xml. Double-click on cars.xml and you will see the whole XML written out. Not indented yet. We will fix that. But you will have everything showing inside cars.xml. So you can close that. Okay. Let's first tackle one more thing here. Display the XML in console. Okay, so this is where we'll just simply take the stream result object, the same one. Let me copy these 2 lines and paste them again. But instead of XML-R, I'm going to call this one XML-C for console. Okay, and instead of sending it to the file, I will type system.out because I'm sending it to the output screen. So t.transform will take the source, but will then move it to the XML-C object versus XML-R object. That's the only change you will need to make. When you run this program again, yes, it will recreate the XML document because of line number 50, and then it will also show the XML document in the console like that, so that you can see that your XML document is created successfully.
Hate to be that guy. I got no XML file or output.
Okay, try this. In your catch, type system out e.get message and see if it gives you any error messages.
An attempt is made to add an attribute that is already in use elsewhere.
Okay, so maybe you are trying to,
I think I see where it is actually.
okay, attribute object. Okay,
Need to just double check. Yep. On line 41, I missed that you added a 2 there. I had it everywhere else. It's not right there.
okay.
It's good to know about that e-message catch thing though. That'd be helpful.
Yeah.
So what is the preferred method with XML then? Is it doing this where you're creating the XML within Java, or is it creating the XML and having Java read it?
Both. For example, if I need to grab the data from the database and give it to somebody in the XML format, I will grab the data from the database and I will use this logic to then convert it into an actual XML document. So instead of me hard coding these values, I will be taking those from the database. Or if I were to take a simple plain text file and generate an XML out of it, I will take this approach where the data is coming from an XML, from a text file and going into an XML object, XML file. The previous approach was that the XML document was already created and I'm just using it as a database.
Okay, so it just really sort of depends which direction you're going with
Exactly.
it. Which one you're starting with and which one you're trying to end with.
Exactly. So what you have and what you don't. So if you want to read an XML and you don't have one, then you got to figure out to create one using an approach like this. And then the previous approach is to then read it. Some systems don't. So for example, some web development teams do not want to directly work with the data in the database. Rather, they want to work with XML document because XML document is text-based. It's much faster. It could be sent onto the client computer and could stay in local memory. And I could use JavaScript or something similar or any other technology to read the in-memory database, which is much faster. So the client doesn't have to constantly do a network traffic of bothering server with the database. So I can just populate one XML document on request and send it to the client, and the client is doing everything locally. So in that case, you can just simply generate an XML document on the fly like that and send it over to the web server. Now comes the next step, which is to indent the entire XML document properly. And that is very easy to do in Java. All you need to do is, after you create your transform object, you call the set output property of your transform object, and you call upon output keys dot indent, and then you say, yes, I want to indent my output keys. I want to indent my transformer object. So now when you rerun this example, check out your output and also refresh your project and then check the new XML document. Oops. And you will see that the whole XML document automatically gets indented and everything. Where did I close that? Okay. All because of this one line. That's it. Line 48. Everybody got this? Okay, we're waiting for. Okay, so Jack, both Jacks got it. Francisco, is that from before or you got it? Next, I want to give you guys a group activity like you guys did one last week, something similar to that. But let me explain it to you first. So what I want you to do in this one is, you remember this example where you were grabbing the data from an XML document and populating it inside a Java array and displaying that on the output, right? That example.
Kinda.
Kinda, what do you mean? You did like 15, 20 minutes ago. Rerun that application so that you can see what I'm talking about, that we were
For
reading.
that one.
Yeah, employee data. So I wrote what I want you to do in a group is to create a Java affix application that will display the data in a table view with appropriate column headings. So you may have to do some digging if you have to do some digging on it. And let me create breakout rooms in the meanwhile. If anybody has any questions. Yes, does anybody has any questions before I send you guys for the next 25 minutes in your breakout rooms?
You said we're supposed to be using the object mapping 2 as sort of our, like you
Yes,
want it.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, because you are doing multiple records. You can also be using object mapping 1. It depends on what logic your group comes up with, but you will be working between those two guys to make sure that your output, instead of going to the console, goes in the JavaFX table view object. That's the baseline. Okay. Anybody else has any other questions before I open the rooms? So, Josh, was your group able to solve this?
Not completely. I got everything. I got the tables started, but I was not able to get the data into the table, but I have like the header built and everything like that for first name, last name, and ID.
Okay, I see. And Jordan, your group?
I'm in the exact same boat. I got the header working, but I was not able to get any display out.
Okay. And Oscar,
Yeah, we were able to figure it out.
all the way through, complete solution?
Yeah, I got the data in there too.
Cool. Greg, your group?
Got the table started.
Okay. Just so that, while you guys were working on it, I was also working on it. So I will share with you what I got. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, that's what basically I got. So the good thing about these column headings is that you can click on them and the whole data set can go in ascending or descending order by the column heading. So basically the approach that I took might be slightly different than the approach that you took. So I created a data table view object on the student class. And here's my array of student class. And I created a special method called XML data in which I'm populating the whole thing that I have from my other example. So I will just call this method when I'm ready to populate data. And inside my start method, I got the scene going. I created a label, which is showing at the top the class data, right? This guy here, okay? And I'm setting the fonts and everything, making my table set editable to false because I don't want the user to be able to edit the data in that table. Then I'm setting up my column heading. So I got my column heading, first name, last name, ID. Then I'm calling my XML data method, which I coded at the top, and that will populate my entire array. Once I do that, I am creating an observable list object on the student class. And again, I'm using generics. And then in a loop, I'm populating that entire observable list object data with the data that's coming from the studs array, one object at a time. I'm assigning the data through set items to the table, and I'm displaying the column headings and some of the other properties, for the VBox and the scene and everything else. So that's basically what I got. I mean, Oscar's, yours probably may be a little different, or is it around the same lines?
Yeah, I did everything except add it to a list. I just used the array that we had.
Oh, okay. I took the observable list approach in case, for a variable size data items coming in. So yeah. Okay, so what I will do next here is I just dropped, oh, I'll drop my solution in the chat. You guys should receive it. Is it available on your end now? The solution file?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Just so that you guys also have it. And it's an interesting stuff, you know, I mean, like it just allows you to bring your data in a graphical user interface rather than having a console only. And see if you can bring that into your project and run it to see that it works on your end. Give me a green check when you are, for those of you who did not get to complete it in your group and are downloading the solution I provided you and put it in your source and are able to run it just fine. Give me a green check after that. So Cole and Victor are the only two people left to give me an okay. Okay, Cole got it. Okay. How about let's take a break here, guys. And before we take a break, let me ask you guys one more question that you can respond to me in your reactions. Give me a green check if you have Microsoft Access on your local computer. Microsoft Access. Okay, only give me a green check if you do. So anybody who doesn't give me a green check, I'll know that they don't. Okay, so for those of you who do not have Microsoft Access on your local computer, you would need to log into V2 Cloud because what we'll be doing after we come back from the break is that we will be creating a Microsoft Access database, and then we will be creating a JDBC Access bridge. And then in the couple weeks or 3 weeks, when we go into Java Enterprise Edition, we will try something similar between Java and DB2, just so that you can get to see multiple databases. So that's why I do in this step Access, and the next step I do it with DB2, so that you can work with one IBM and one non-IBM product. Oh, okay. So if you ever had installed a Microsoft Office from a Gateway's license, you get Microsoft Access with it, because all Gateway students have access to one Microsoft Office license. You can download it, yeah, but I don't know if it will be downloaded in the next 20 minutes. But yeah. Okay, so Let's take a break till 7:45 and I'll see you guys at 7:45. So inside the unit 7, if you scroll down, you will find JDBC web tutorial. That's a link that takes you to the JDBC web tutorial. What JDBC pretty much stands for is Java Database Connectivity. It is a standard Java API for database independent connectivity. What does that mean? Java, from its end, only come as far as giving you classes to connect to the database. Then you need drivers from the database to meet the Java, which makes a JDBC and whatever driver you are bringing in bridge. So Java comes as far as JDBC. The database needs to provide the driver, which will come and meet Java halfway through. That's basically builds the bridge. So the JDBC library includes APIs for each of the tasks. However, the actual database needs to come up with its own driver. So JDBC can talk to the driver on behalf of the application. So if you're using MySQL, then you use MySQL driver. If you're using Access, then you can either build JDBC ODBC bridge, which is native to the Windows. You might have done something very similar with Alan when you were talking to SQL Server, or I will introduce a different driver to you than ODBC, which is you can access driver. So you will download that and you will put it into your project library, and that will allow my Java code to talk to the database that we will create using JDBC you can access bridge. And then you can be communicating using JDBC. Doesn't matter. It's a Java standalone application. It's a GUI application. It's a console application, or even a JSP servlet, or even an EJB. Doesn't matter. It just works all the way through. So JDBC 4.0 packages does include automatic database driver loading, exception handling improvements, enhanced binary large object and character large objects, which is very specific to high-end databases like DB2, SQL Server, Oracle. Access doesn't have those. Similarly, connection objects and national character set support, row ID access, and SQL 2003, SQL 2003 standard, because SQL has its own standard. So 2003 standard came about with after XML. So it also supports XML data type and supports annotation. So that's something that will improve over the period of time. Anyway, so that's the tutorial. The you can access driver that you can download. Here's the jar file. So I already downloaded the jar file for you guys. And here I'm showing you how you can add that jar file. It's the same way. Click add jars, but not, and then you can add it to your, so now let me download the jar file to my local computer by simply clicking on it. Okay. And then I'll open Eclipse. And I'll go down to the properties, Java build path, and I can add, the external jar in my downloads folder. Where is it? Oh, here it is. You can access. Okay, so it's added to the list. You can access, apply, and close. Give me a green check when you guys are also done with downloading this and adding it to your project. And again, here's a step that shows you how do you go about adding it under the instructions. Okay. So I'll wait till everybody can do this step and let me know when you're done.
If you have to use access on the V2 cloud, do you have to use Eclipse on the V2 cloud as well?
Yeah, because then because otherwise your local ones can't see the access on the V2 cloud.
Gotcha.
So I'm waiting for Jacklear and Victor. You probably might have downloaded it, Greg, when you would have installed Microsoft Office using Gateway student licensing. So that's why I mean, like, since you don't use it, you probably didn't even remember that you have it. So,
But Jordan was asking how to do it, I think.
oh, okay.
I was just asking if there was anything special I needed to do to set up access. It looks like I just had to install it with everything else.
Yeah, you just need to install it. Correct. Okay, so Victor, are you all set?
No.
Any questions?
Can I just share my screen?
Yes, you can, sure. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's all you had to do. Apply close. Yes, that's all I'm asking everybody to do.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Now that you're done with that, open Access, Microsoft Access on your computer and click to open a blank database. And we will call this one TBS. TBS. That's it. That's the name. And hit save. And here you'll have your Access database file open. Now I'll play around a little bit in the Microsoft Access environment just to show you guys how you can create a table in Access and how you can add data to that table in Access. And then we will create another table from Java in Access. And then we will add data in that table from Java. So let's do one table all together in Access, and then we'll create another table along with all its data from Java. So to get started, you already should have a table 1 listed on the left-hand side. If you click on it and click on the scale, which is right above that, above the view, it will ask you, would you like to save this table? And let's call this table department. Department. Okay. So now it takes you behind the scene into the fields. To set up a field, you have to start typing the name of the field and set the data type. So my very first field I'm typing is department ID I'll make it short text. And the size is 5. I'm going to put it in the comments. So those of you who are following will know that what I put as the field size. Okay. Department ID, department name, short text, field size 30, and then department location, another short text, field size 40. That little key that you see next to the department ID, that is to show that it's a primary key. When you're done setting it up, hit the file, save icon so that everything is saved. Let me clear the feedback so that you guys can notify me when you're done putting in the fields with the data type and field size. Okay, so I'm waiting for Oscar and Victor. Got it, Victor? Okay. Oscar also got it. Okay. Now where you see the view and right above that, you see the table, click on that so that we can add some data. And the data is simply added by typing, just like an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so I've added 5 records here. And when you're done, simply close the file. But before you close the file, make a note of the location of the file because we now need to drag this file into Eclipse. Okay, so close the Access database. Open the Access database on your local computer. And you will drag and drop the file on the project. Don't drag it and drop it on the SRC. So it will ask you, would you like to copy files, and click OK. And you will now see the database listed where your XML files are listed. Everybody with me so far? Let me clear the feedback again for you to give me a new feedback that you were able to successfully bring the database in Eclipse at the same level as your XML files.
Where should we drop it again?
Drop it directly on the project, not on the SRC folder, so that it shows where your XML files are showing.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Greg and Cole.
The file wasn't working really well with me,
Okay.
but I got it now. So
Cool. So now we will right click on the SRC folder to create a new class. We will call this class connect to DB and read metadata. So this will be a data about the database. So connect to DB and read metadata. Public static void main. Okay, so let me first create my string URL. JDBC, you can access. That's the bridge. And the name of the database is tbs.accdb. Connection object and statement object. From the SQL package. By the way, you guys get also, if you have the same catch block, or all you want to do is only display the error message for multiple kinds of catches, you can actually OR them right here. This is something Java added much recently, like a few years ago. So you can actually list multiple catches just like that. So either if the error is of SQL exception type or the error is of class not found exception type, in both of these cases, the same catch can be used. Okay, now we're going to start working with the data. So first of all, we got to load the driver. So class dot for name net dot you can access .jdbc. That's one of the packages inside the jar file, and it has you can access driver. So that will give you the driver information. Then driver manager dot get connection. And we are leaving the last two parameters empty because the Microsoft Access database doesn't have username and password. But when we talk to the DB to UDB in the next few weeks, we will provide some username and password there. So I'll be using the URL from line 9 to get connected to the database. Now, database metadata. So that's the data about the database. Con.get metadata. Okay. Oh, my bad. I did not import the other jar files. Sorry. I only showed you guys once, one of them. You need to also download the jack access stat, this jar file. Come on. Same process. You go to properties and you need to add the external jar. And then, hold on a second. Oh, you know what? I'm going to download all of these and then add them in one shot. Okay, cool. That should work. Oh, it's giving me an error. Net dot you can access JDBC dot you can access driver. Why is it airing out? JDBC you can access tbs.accdb. Okay. This is what I did different, guys. In the properties, instead of adding to the class path, I add them to the module path.
So it actually works for me in the class path.
Okay, if it works for you, that's fine. For me, it did not, so I added to the module path, and that allowed me to work just fine with it. Or maybe, let me try again. Let me remove these from here, and let me add them to a class path again. All 6 of these. And yep, it works. I don't know why it was not working before, but it works fine. Okay, cool. So basically what it basically told me right here in this example is that it is able to see my class path, and I was able to establish the connection with that. Otherwise this would have errored out. So I use my connection object, which I instantiated based on the URL from line 10. I use the connection object to get the information about the database and store that into a database metadata object. And so far, I have only read the URL. Let me read some more information about the database. For example, I want to know the database product name. So I can say dbm dot get database product name. And this will give me the product name that you can access for Access DB. That's the name of the product that I'm using. Similarly, I can use that I want to know the database driver. Okay, so dbm dot get driver name. So it's telling me that the name of the driver is you can access. So some basic information I can read about the actual database, such as its version numbers, major version, minor version, max table name. I mean, like all sorts of stuff I could read about the actual database. Again, give me a green check when you guys are done with this example. And next, we will learn how you can create a table in the database, but from Java. Oh, okay, Robert, thanks for sharing that. I just saw your comment. So we have Jack Lear is the only one that did not give me a confirmation yet. Okay, cool. So guys, with this information, let's save this example as, and we'll call the next one, create table. Create table. That's the name of our class. Create table. Now we will get rid of only the database metadata logic. The rest of the logic will stay the same. All we now need to do is, we need to create a statement which will allow us to generate a table. So I'll create an SQL statement, which will help me create a table. I don't know if you guys remember your SQL. Create table, table name, field name, data type, primary key, another field name, data type, size. I'll use a concatenation operator to write the rest of it on the next line. Emp job title, variable character size 30, employee salary, decimal 9,2. So that's my SQL statement. I am creating 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. One of them is fixed size character, 2 are variable character, and 1 is a decimal. Then I'm going to instantiate my statement object, which I declared on line number 12. When you're done typing this code, go ahead and run. I misspelled successfully. So it will tell me that the table created successfully. If I try to run it again, it will give me an error because the table was created successfully, that the object name already exists. That's a proof that the table was created successfully. If I try to run it again, so it gives me an error.
I got an error that says cannot write indexes of this type due to
Check,
unsupported collating.
check your SQL to see if it's written correctly.
I don't see anything different.
Okay, show me your screen. Cannot write this type. Care, varchar, decimal. Cannot write indexes of this type in unsupported collating order. Scroll down, sorry, scroll to the right. Okay. Table. Scroll down. Line 23. It's TMT. Execute update. Okay, cannot write indexes this time due to unsupported collating sort order. And your Microsoft Access database is not open at the bottom, right? You close.
Nope, I closed it.
Okay. If you delete the word primary key from line 18, and then run it to see what it does. Okay. Cannot write indexes at this time, okay? Undo that change, Control Z, okay. CDBC, you can access TBS, ACCDB. Anybody else has the same error? Statement object. So nobody else has this error except for Jordan.
It's never fun.
I wonder if your Microsoft Access is a full version, right?
Yeah, I downloaded it using the gateway.
Gateway one. Okay. Okay. Cool. Line 23. Let me see if I can find any evidences on this error.
Maybe restart Eclipse, see if it clears any sort of cache or something like that.
How about your imports?
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. Can you open your imports, please?
In my,
Yeah, right at the top.
okay,
Right. No,
Oh.
not here.
sorry.
Expand on that plus. Okay, we have all.
Get rid of the database meta.
Okay, try one more thing. Double click on the tbs.accdb file in your project. it will open this in Microsoft Access.
Yep.
Okay, can you bring that Microsoft Access screen on the sharing?
Yeah, let me share my actual screen.
Okay. Okay, now click Enable Content and click File. And then click at the bottom options. Okay. In the general, under creating databases, where it says new database sort order, click that drop down box and
Japanese.
general.
What the heck?
I don't know why it was Japanese. Okay, click OK. And then close.
Access.
Yeah. Okay. And go back to Eclipse and then run it again. No, it still does that. Not writing this time. Okay. Because that was the sort order and was complaining about sort order. So I thought I'll ask you to change that. Okay, try one more thing. Double click on the TVS database again. Once it opens up in Access, bring the Access window. And then go back under File Options. Let me make sure that it is back to General. Okay, hit Cancel. Now go to the Database Tools tab. Okay. And click on the Compact and Repair database. Okay, you already clicked that. Okay, and then close it, exit Access. Try now to see if it has fixed. Here you go. Cool. Awesome.
Weird. Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
There's no way I was gonna figure that one out on my own.
Okay, so now that you guys have created a table, now it's time to tap a little bit more into the metadata stuff. Then that you have multiple tables in your database. So go back to that metadata example and save it as metadata number 2.java. Metadata number 2. Now let's get rid of these 3 system out statements. I'll create a result set object on the database metadata to get the tables. Null, null, null. Then we will have a string database, a string array to only look at the table. As long as RS has objects to process, and it should show you both tables that were created. So the results set holds the entire array of tables. And we are running the while loop as long as the result set has data to throw. And every time we are in the loop, we're asking the result set to give us the name of the table. So this could be a good thing if you are writing a Java application that will tap into a database and you want to see the list of all the tables in a database. That's basically how you can do that. My next step would be, once you guys are done with this one, is to tap into one specific table and start looking at the columns in that table. So let me know when you guys are done with this one. In fact, let me clear out your previous response so you can give me the new response. So Victor, I didn't see you. Did you already give me a thumbs up that you're done? Oh, okay, cool. So we will now save this example as metadata 3. Let me get rid of this logic. And let's create a string SQL statement. Select star from employees. I know employees is empty, doesn't matter. If you guys remember, that selects all the data from employees table. I believe that's what we call it, right? Employees, correct. Yeah, employees. Okay. After that, I'll instantiate my statement object to con.create statement. And I'll create a results set object to run that statement dot execute query the SQL statement. Okay. So basically I'm giving the SQL statement I wrote on line 20 to my statement object, which will run it. And all the data that it will generate will be given to the result set. I know it's empty. I'm not concerned about, in this example, retrieving the data. Rather, in this example, I want to teach you how you can grab the column information. So we're not interested in grabbing the data. Rather, we are more interested in grabbing the column information. Okay. So for that purpose, I will now create result set metadata object. And I'll use my result set object to get the metadata. Now let me run a loop. Result set metadata dot get column count I plus plus. Column name. And let's try that. Here we go. Okay. So I was able to successfully, for each column in that table, I was able to display its name. So let me write here. Okay. That column type. So now with each column, you can see, 1 second. Results set metadata dot get column type name. Sorry, get column type name. That's the correct getter. Here we go. Okay, so you're gonna get to see the data type. And that shows you the column size. So if I'm generating a report in which I want to display the data from the database, and I want to grab the column headings, instead of me having to remember the column headings, I can literally use this logic and grab the column headings and display the column headings and then display the data underneath. Something like this, you could easily do in the table view example that we did earlier today with XML document. Very easily, you can replicate this logic with the databases. Okay, everybody got this?
I got some errors.
Okay, I can have a look at it. Can you save changes? Can you please hover over the line 22? Cannot convert from statement. Oh, can you scroll up to the top, please? Okay. Can you open your imports? No, no, not that import. The little plus sign next to the import on line 1. Delete line number 1 import. You got the wrong import. Okay, now organize your imports again. And you need to choose the first one, the SQL one. I think you by mistake you chose the second one. Okay, and save the changes. And I believe you should be good to go. There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else, or everybody else is good to go? Good to go, good to go, good to go. Cool. Does this code make sense to you guys? Any questions about anything here? Okay. Now let's go back to the create table example. And let's save that example as read table data 1. Read table data 1. So my SQL statement, instead of saying create table, it will say select. And I'll write my field names, department ID. If you remember, those were the fields in my department table. From department table. And it's not case sensitive. Okay, so that's my SQL statement. Now I am not creating anything, so I should not use execute update. Execute update is specially designed for create, update, insert, delete instructions. If you want to have a select instruction where you are selecting the data from the database, you will rather do a result set because you expect something to come back, and you will use the statement object dot execute query. Execute query, not the execute update. So execute query, and this is the query that will now run on the database, and the result set, which is all the records that the database returns, will be held inside the result set. Did you guys do anything like this with Alan and SQL Server, where you return an entire result set back and then you read from it record by record?
Not yet in like actual coding.
Okay, but because because Visual Studio has a lot of built-in support for stuff, so you don't really have to code everything. So over here, it just lets you design your whole process. So after the result comes, the entire result set is sitting in memory, and now you got to read one record at a time. So while result set dot next, and result set dot get string 0, which will be the first field, and results result set dot get string 1 for the second field, because they're both string fields. And then afterwards, con dot close. Hold on a second. Can I not call it department ID, DPT ID, and DPT name? Let me double check. I called it DEPT ID and DEPT name. That's what I call them. From department.
Shouldn't it be get string 1 and get string 2?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yes, because, thank you.
Why should it be that?
Because it's not an array. Yeah, I mean, like it just calls the first column 1 and the second column 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Databases have to be weird.
yeah, this doesn't follow the Java norm of first being 0. Again, let me clear your feedbacks for you to give me the new feedback. And then for those of you who give me the feedback, what I want you to do is this. Update this program to display column headings, but using result set metadata approach we learned in previous example.
Should we name it anything specific?
No, same example, same example, just add the result set metadata logic. So you get to display the column headings at the top for each column. As opposed to hard coding those, grab those from result set metadata. Done?
No.
So this is basically what I did. I created a result set metadata object on the result set object. And then I created a printf logic for my columns, something very similar to what we did last week with XML. So I did a printf logic and I'm traversing through my result set metadata for the column count as to however many number of columns it has, and displaying one column name at a time in a loop. And then once I'm done printing both column names, I am producing a new line. Then I had another loop just to print those dashes as underlines. Then my rest of the logic is such that my loop, the while loop, I changed that from println to printf as well for column description, for column display. And here is the output for that. So that's what I did. Is that good enough, Jack? Sorry, I didn't see your message. Oh, cool. So for those of you who have gotten this far, go ahead and look at this week's homework assignment. And let me know if you have any questions about this week's homework assignment.
I do. Says read the data from the XML document, which I get, and then store in a Java object, which I get, but then show the Java object as shown in class example.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
student's example,
exactly the same. But remember how we showed everything at the bottom?
just in the console.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I know we showed it. I know we did a couple different ways with JavaFX and some things.
No, not to get any fancier. It's just a console app.
Okay.
Jack, you got it? Jack there? Oh, you got it?
It's not liking me.
Yours is not working, this one?
It's not displaying the well, not displaying the department ID or name or the dashes, but I'm not seeing what I have different.
Interesting. Share your screen. Let's have a look at it.
Oh wait,
Oh, wait.
you know, as soon as I say something, I see it. That's how it always works. Yep, there it was. I hit a dash instead of the equal signs, and I is less than or equal to RSM.
Aha, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't throw an error.
Because it's a logical mistake, not a syntax error.
You can do a less than or minus.
Oh, it was a less than minus. I thought it was only less than. Okay.
No, it was less than minus.
Oh,
It was.
you probably might have thought about it to be a negative sign. You know, when you wrote less than minus, it thought about, because get column count is an integer value, and integer value can be negative, right?
Okay.
So
Makes
that's why it's a logical error. So it thought I should be less than negative of whatever is the column count.
Ah, got it.
Yes, Jack. Go ahead. So your column headings are coming out just fine, but your results set object for some reason is giving you an error.
I just had this same error. Oh, I see. On line 36, you have the plus and then quote space. It just needs to be a comma
Oh,
there.
Yep. The plus, quotes, and plus, all those three things should be just a comma. Yes, so get rid of the plus, get rid of yep, that should be just a comma. Yep, that's it. Okay, now let's see what's wrong. That's line number 36 again.
Oh, you have an S or you have an X by the first 20
Oh,
and not an
negative
S.
20s, not an X. The very first negative 20 should be an S for string. Okay, cool. Ta-da!
If only I could spot these things in my own code. Yes.
So everybody is good with this code here. Everybody is good with the homework assignment. Okay, Cool. So then that's all for tonight, guys, then. So next week, we will continue a little bit more into JDBC. And if we have time towards the end of the class, we may slightly get into Java Enterprise Edition. So hopefully by next week, we might start getting into Enterprise Edition. And then in a couple weeks or so, or a week or so, we'll start talking about your project, and then we'll start giving you some time in every class to work on your project, and we'll go like that. Okay. So having